often you will hear me say this out loud, Baggedmilk. You'll hear me say something along the lines like, I don't want to make this about myself, but the last two Stanley Cup champions are the teams that eliminated the Oilers from the playoffs. I don't want to make this about us, but...
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're looking for some kind of comfort in the Oilers losing in the second round, that would probably be it. This year, like last year, I would buy it, Locke, with the Colorado Avalanche. They were just so good. This year, though, the fact that the Oilers were really the only ones that gave Vegas any kind of a struggle in the playoffs, it just annoys me. Because there were games in that series where the Oilers lost it themselves. Yeah. They blew it. They made mistakes. They couldn't get goaltending, whatever it was. So it just, honestly, it annoys me. So this year, it's just kind of like, that should have been Connor lifting the cup last night, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, that Vegas team, they just showed up every night and played. Well, there wasn't any real controversy. There wasn't any highs and lows. It was just consistency every night.
Can you imagine the points that they would have had?
That Draisaitl would have had.
And Connor and Draisaitl. Because the Conn Smythe went to a guy that played the entire Stanley Cup Finals. And he had the same number of goals as Draisaitl. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just so you see some stats like that, and it's just frustrating, to be honest. Yeah. This was a golden opportunity for the Oilers to do it, and they just couldn't get it through. So, congratulations on the Stanley Cup Finals being over. I guess that's what I'm celebrating today.
Now into the off season, the Oilers have already started. How are you feeling about signing Derek Ryan to a 2-year contract?
Yeah, I feel good about it, to be honest. Like, the fact they took a $325,000 haircut to stay around, that's good. The Oilers obviously have no cap space, so to get a guy who can give you 10, 11, 12 reliable minutes per night, maybe a little bit of scoring in there too, it's a nice piece of work. I was surprised that it gave him a 2-year, but if it brought down the annual value down to $900,000 where it ultimately settled, I don't think it's a bad thing. Derek Ryan is... You know what you're going to get from him, right? Yeah. This is going to be his third season with the Oilers. He's going to give you quiet, steady, calm minutes where you don't really have to worry about what he's doing out there. So I like it. It's a cheap deal for a veteran player with a little bit of offense. I think it's a nice little bit of business. By no means the sexiest news that we'll hear. No. But I think it's a nice little piece of housekeeping.
There's a lot of talk, though, about like what the Oilers do with like Klim Kostin and Nick Butterstad and then Derek Ryan. So... there was a lot of talk about that, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got small Derek Ryan, and I don't know that they'll have the space for tall Derek Ryan, which is Nick Butterstad, but yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially in the bottom six. I think that Klim Kostin will be back. I've heard the rumor mill suggest that Matthias Janmark wants to come back. Whether or not there's money for him will be, we'll have to wait and see, but... First little to-do item off the list for Ken Holland, getting Derek Ryan here. He wanted to be here. He was on Stauffer's show like 10 days ago or something saying he wants to retire in Oilers. So looks like he's on his way.
So the thing for me, and maybe I'm like projecting here more than I should, but that to me is a sign that the Oilers are aware that they have the nucleus, that they have the structure of a winning team, and that they're going to go out of their way to keep the guys that that got them there this year. Too much?
Yeah, I mean, no, I think the Oilers, I think we're going to get a lot of the same team back for that exact reason. The Oilers were a really good hockey team. In January forward, they were one of the best teams in the NHL with the roster they had. So I don't know that they're going to do a whole lot of changes, especially to kind of the nucleus, the core. There's some really good players in there. I think it's the periphery parts that are going to get changed. I think that Kyler Yamamoto is going to go mostly because of his cap number. I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Warren Fogel's name starts popping up, not because they don't like the player, but because of the cap number. So it's going to be interesting to see what Ken Holland can do with limited space and how he tries to make some more of it to do bigger things.
Well, I think that, if they have the nucleus in the team, it's always nice to add veterans, though, guys who have been there and won the cup. And there is one guy who's going to be a free agent who is now a 3-time Stanley Cup winner. I'm going to officially start the petitions for Ken Holland to sign Phil Kessel, please.
Listen, I'm on board with you, man. I wrote about Phil Kessel a bunch of times before he went to Vegas about how he could be a depth fit for the Oilers on the right wing. And Grant, if we're pushing this along down the road, if Kyler Yamamoto gets traded, that right side is wide open.
It's open for him.
Wow.
They have
It
Zach Hyman
started
on the
here.
right side.
On the locker
Phil
room.
Kessel, come on down. We've got Fat Frank's boots everywhere. We'll get you one, buddy. Come on.
Yeah, the only other rumor that we want to start this morning is that if they have an opening for an enforcer, we got a guy
James P. White.
just to the left
We
of me
know he
here.
can take a hit now.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm sitting on this Zoom call. I've been wondering what's going on. I just haven't mentioned anything the whole time. I'm trying to be polite. I don't know what's doing here, Jimmy.
I had a drinking accident, and I fell on my face at Commonwealth Stadium.
He didn't just fall on his face. He knocked himself out cold and spent the night in hospital.
Yeah. But
Oh, boy.
he'll be fine. And
His shot's
listen,
okay.
We've learned a couple of lessons from the incident. One, he's going to try not to drink like a complete a-hole without his supervision, which is me and Army Chris. And then two was that he put a family member into his emergency.
His auntie with an oxygen tank is now his emergency contact. So
Because
have
the
somebody
thing
to call.
is Locke was in Saskatchewan, and people were texting him pictures of me being
Yeah, I got it sent to
dealt
me
with.
about 10 times. Yeah.
Jimmy on the ground.
Yeah. He's an idiot.
my paramedics.
By the way, we got a GoFundMe for his ambulance bill if you want to throw some cash at that too, by the way. All right. The only
helmets, apparently.
the only other thing, and I'll ask you this. So Phil the Thrill rumor coming to Edmonton.
Yeah, I've started here.
Yeah, it started here. The only other thing that I want to mention is I got some pleasure out of the fact that the Tkachuk family still doesn't have a cup. Does that make me a horrible person?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good.
I don't think so because I was actually on the flip side. I would have rather, so I'm thinking the lesser of two evils in my mind. I would have rather watched Matthew Tkachuk lift it than Jack Eichel lift it. But the good news is I was watching a Hot Tub Time Machine, so I didn't see anybody lift it.
Nice work. There he is, Baggedmilk, Oilers Nation. Thank you for your time, my friend.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
The Locker Room for Arden Roof Systems. Weekday mornings on 95.7 Cruise FM.